Hi guys, Daymond here with Daymond & Company, technically inclined, creatively driven. I exist to inspire. I'm also your certified life coach, your pluripreneur, and also your real estate broker with Daymond & Company. Hey, listen guys, I figured I would just jump right here and then just capture some content about something that I'm extremely passionate about, and that is housing, real estate, finding a place to live, calling it your own and loving it. Recently, I've pulled in, I don't know, just a really solid passion for tiny homes. It's just something that is very near and dear to my heart. I know if you have been following me, you probably know about, the tiny home project that I'm working on. If I get a chance, I'll probably flash it here in this video, but it's more of a tiny home container home build that I'm working on. And, I've been talking to a lot of people about it. I've met other people building tiny homes. I actually have a friend and now a brand new client that I'm working with to design tiny homes, not necessarily a container home, but a tiny home concept. And, I wanted to kind of bring you along on a journey, but not only that, if you follow my brand, I'm always mixing all sorts of things. You might hear me talking about building a house, but then encouraging you and motivating you to own property and get out there and try to do something creative in real estate or with some brand new project that's probably not even real estate related. Today, we're going to keep it real estate related, because I figured it's just an opportunity for you to follow me and then also learn something new. You know me, I'm also gonna motivate you and inspire you to do something different, because I'm motivating and inspiring myself to do something different. All I'm doing is just helping it in the world catch on to that. So I'm up in here, I'm working on my passion. I'm gonna flip the camera around, but I'm working on my passion. I'm working on something called the Blue House, and it's a project that I'm working on. Let me flip the screen here and then show you how some of this started. So here's how the project started. I had a client, and what the client did was showed me this picture. She showed me that picture. We call it the Blue House. And she's like, oh, I love that. I love that. That's going to be a tiny house concept that I'm going to come up with. And since I know that you're building your tiny home, what do you think about that? Right? So it sparked this conversation. And then I was telling her, I love that tiny house. I'm working on it as well. I'm not going to show you the other tiny home concepts that I have going on. But as soon as she showed me this, I showed her a tiny home concept, and this is all I really had to work on. She showed me this picture. We talked about it. We live in Texas, and I was immediately when I saw it, just wearing my real estate hat, I was like, oh, you're gonna build that in Texas? It has a flat roof. What are you gonna do with that flat roof? Because you know how Texas has crazy weather. You can go from extreme cold to heat, and now you may literally have snow on that flat roof one part of the year, and then you have the sun beaming down on it, stripping it of all the moisture in the roof so that'll make it contract. We just don't do well with flat roofs in Texas. The conversation went on even more past just talking about flat roofs. We went on to talk about what I was doing. She was like, well, how did you get started with your tiny home? I was like, oh, I'm designing my tiny home. Whenever I moved into my house, I said, I'm going to learn how to build a house from the ground up. So this is a tiny home. It's a smaller version of that. Of course, I'm working on it. Of course, I'm coming up with the plans. So one challenge that I gave to myself is that I said, one thing that I never want to do when I'm working with a person is not be short on knowledge that I think I can acquire before I deal with the client, because I never want to go to somebody and give them information that does not make sense. I never want to talk from a place of ignorance. We have too much of that going on in the world already, in business, in corporate, in entrepreneurship. There are so many people that are gonna feed you bullshit, right? Like, so I'm just not that kind of a person. Like, you'll never get that from me. What you'll get from me is data. Quite frankly, data, right? And I say that for a reason. Like, when you hear me say, oh, technically inclined, creatively driven, I'm giving you, information from the standpoint of I've researched it. Like, I've probably done the technical research that needs to go into the conversation that I need to have with you about producing a project. So that's the starting point. With that being said, I went ahead and I learned how to do some CAD and come up with some drawings on my own. So the journey that I want to take you through is how we went from what I showed you, that blue house, to what my client is looking for now, and how we started having a conversation about what makes sense for Texas versus, a flat roof. And then you probably saw in that floor plan, that's a small space. Like, that space is only like 725 square feet. So you saw that wall in there. So we stripped that out. We wanted to optimize the tiny home space. So I'll show you that. So here you have it, guys. We're looking at the floor plan that I started developing after dealing with my client. And you see that this is the first floor. By the way, you may be wondering, well, what is the software application that I'm using? I am using Chief Architect Home Designer Pro. I am a designer. I mean, if you've been following me and you follow my brand, I've been doing graphic design for 20 years. I've been doing dealing with software applications like, Adobe and all of that for a very, very long time. So when I took on this project, it was sort of simple for me to move from doing things in like Adobe, Illustrator and Photoshop, and taking that skill set and applying it to Home Designer Pro. Now, I will tell you the really good thing about this software is that there are a whole bunch of different layers you can use in here, and it has, CAD software running in the background, which is awesome. But when I'm working with it, I'm looking at it from a technical software perspective as well as a design tool. So I think that's what really helps me navigate through the tool so well. It also helps me to have very pertinent conversations with people when I'm taking them through the design. But what we did is, this is the first floor of that blue house. The floor plan is completely different. Like, I can tell you some of the conversations that we had. Like, here, when you look at the stairwell, a lot of times when you find, these drawings and stuff online, you'll see things that has dimensions in them, and then the dimensions are half baked. We ran into that same situation with this blue house. So when I was designing the stairway, I talked with my client. I was like, hey, I had to do some things with the length of your stairway, give you 16 risers because your ceiling height is 8 feet, right? Which, when I looked at the original floor plan that she found on the internet, that floor plan did not match the height of the house. So I was like, I have made some adjustments, because one of the main things you worry about in houses is how comfortable the stairs are. Like, can you get up the stairs well? Are there, are the stairs too narrow? Is the angle of elevation too steep? So I had that conversation with her. Also, there was a lot of room back here that initially it was going to be storage, but we decided to make it a little downstairs bathroom and washroom with a shower. Because if this is going to be a tiny home, and just imagine you probably have some entertainment space around that tiny home, well then, I don't know, you may have some, like a pool or something. You want to have some space down there where people can use the restroom, perhaps take a shower, and, have access to, a sink. And on the main floor, which is the second floor, you probably don't want a washer and a dryer because you want to optimize the space that you primarily live in. So we put the washer and the dryer in this downstairs area right off of the garage. And we'll pan around it pretty soon, but I want to keep this video pretty short. And this is the upstairs. Now you see what we did. So you remember when we looked at the old floor plan, it was so different. Like the kitchen was in the middle. There was a wall here. The bathroom was still in the same area, but you know, we did some changes in the bathroom. And I think we optimized that space pretty well. And really to optimize all of the space that you have in that upstairs living area, see, 495 square feet, guys. See, so that means we want to optimize this. We want to make it very lofty, you know, in this tiny home space. We decided to move the kitchen toward this corner front area just to optimize the space. And right here, we're kind of wondering what we're going to do here. I think this is going to end up being a TV wall. So we left, you know, this area, this wall up with no windows so that it could be you know, a TV wall. Now I know this is not so interesting because you're just looking at a floor plan, but I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a camera in here so we can pan around the room. And this is going to make the video a lot more interesting to you. So see, whenever we pan around, what I was saying is, this is only 495 square feet. But look, guys, look how open the space is. See, we opened the space there and it's a tiny home. So the key is always optimize. Optimize however you can. And I love this tool. So you see, I was able to go from the floor plan to looking at a 3D cartoon rendering of the space. You know, as a designer, this makes me feel really good. Like when I see, you know, like linear 2D drawings, and then I'm able to translate that to a 3D cartoon rendering, it just really makes it so much more, seem like it's just so much more achievable, right? And, you know, you follow my brand, so you know how I'm really focused on, hey, let's visualize the, you know, the type of life that you want to live. Let's visualize what's in a realm of possibility. When you see me doing things like this and, you know, working projects like this, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? So we just went from the main living area upstairs to the bathroom area. And so we really optimized the space here. One thing that my client really wanted to go for is the fact that she wanted to have this, you know, we have a shower downstairs, but we also want a garden tub here. This may turn into a freestanding tub. We don't really know yet. The initial ask was a garden tub, but when we got on the phone, we were like, oh, you know, we may want a freestanding bathtub there. But see, we have a really nice bathroom area upstairs. And I like the fact that here, because this is a tiny home, I wanted to make sure that we have like a farmhouse sink up there in that bathroom, because this tiny home has to literally optimize everything that is in it. See? So I think that's a very, very nice space for a bathroom. It's about 6 by 9 or 6 by 8, I think. So I think we did a really good job at optimizing the space in that area, right? By the way, guys, if you want to, you know, stay in contact with me, just by all means, don't forget, follow me. You can find me online, hashtag Daymond CO, DAYMOND CO. Okay, so let's go to the outside of this property. And again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I get excited about this stuff when I'm showing it to you. So we call this the Blue House for a reason. So this is the version that we came up with. Remember, in the original version, there was a balcony that was off the front of the home, and it was over the garage, just like this one. We both like that feature of having a balcony over the garage, but I also thought it was kind of weird. Like, you have this balcony over the garage, and then You know, you have to make sure that you have the right support. So in our original drawing, there were these suspension cables that held up the balcony to keep it from, you know, like if someone is standing out there on a 3-foot balcony, you know, you need the support so that it doesn't just break off, right? And then falls right into the garage. For us, we said, no, let's just turn that into a Juliet balcony. We don't want the suspension cables. That means pull it in. So this is only a foot here. Literally, you can step out of this door, you know, put 1 foot out there, get some fresh air. But at the same time, you don't need to add all of that extra support. Instead, what we ended up doing, guys, is we decided that instead of focusing on that huge balcony on the front of the home, why don't we keep that, still keep it to where people can stand and go out there and get some fresh air. However, at the rear of the home, we said, let's focus on that big balcony there. And it's also going to be cheaper. Why is it going to be cheaper? Because we're going to be able to extend it 3 feet, put a patio, concrete patio down there, support that balcony with 2 columns, guys, and now you don't have to worry about it breaking off. This is normally how balconies are done. Anyway, to save costs. So remember, I'm all about creativity. I'm all about doing stuff well, but I'm also about saving costs. If you've dealt with me, you know that. So I think this really makes it to where if people opened both doors, that breeze flowing through this space will be awesome. I mean, just imagine living in this tiny home, opening up those you know, those doors and then letting that breeze and that fresh air in. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That'd be just like superb. Another thing that I really wanted to bring your attention to, and this is the very last thing, guys, is this roof. Remember, I was telling you in Texas, you really don't want a flat roof. You know, you want a slanted roof. That way you don't have to worry about like snow piling on that roof, and then now it becomes unsturdy and may even cave in. So we got rid of that. We got rid of the flat roof. We went to a slanted roof. And honestly, I think slanted roofs really, to me, they always do something special to a design. I mean, in the home that I live in now, I just love the fact that, you know, we have a slanted roof. We don't have to worry about, you know, snow and all of that caving in the roof. You know, the rain and precipitation just slides right off, and we have gutters, you know, to take care of everything, just like I designed into this home. See, there is a gutter, so the rainwater will flow down, flow into the downspout, and then go out away from the patio. So, guys, all of those things are things that I think about when I'm helping my clients to get through their design work, but also this should help you to really gain an affinity for tiny homes. So I hope this video really helped you to kind of think of tiny homes a whole different way. I know I've always been interested in them. I just like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I just love housing in general, and I also like being a you know, source to help people find the right housing solution for them. When it comes to tiny homes, though, just keep in mind, this is not just for, you know, a person looking to save money on a house. This is literally a new solution that's coming out that's getting a lot of attention because it's there for, you know, for 55 and up communities. It's there for to be a housing solution for people who have fallen on hard times. It's you know, tiny homes can really be a part of these communities where you're now helping disenfranchised people really get back on their feet and find a housing solution. You know, if you've been following the news, you know how expensive life is getting, you know how expensive housing is getting. And at the same time, real estate, we live in a capitalist society. So there's, you know, there's a lot of division that's happening in, you know, in the classes and the wealth gap. I just want to be, just wearing my engineering hat, I always want to be a part of a solution, right? And so, you know, out of all the things that I do, this is just one more thing that, you know, I have in my own a realm of possibilities to help people out with. So, you know, if you're interested in knowing more about tiny homes, if you're interested in knowing more about, you know, what it takes to build a container home, if you're interested in, you know, working with me to get some drawings or some renderings done for a project that you have going on, by all means, reach out to me. And you can also find me on my real estate website at daymondrealestate.com. Daymond, D-A-Y-M-O-N-D, realestate.com. All right, guys. Technically inclined, creatively driven. I exist to inspire. XO.